see the screen?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay, I'm sorry about this, and I do not want to. Could we possibly, I'm sorry, Mike, could we come back to this? I apologize.
That's okay. If you want to keep moving, you want us to come back to you, or you want to?
Well, see, I guess you want us to go to the next item.
To the next item. Okay, we can do that.
My apologies.
That's okay. Not a problem. We'll move on to the next one and come back to you. The next item is 2021-2 applications for low income housing credits. And I'll turn it over to Mike McNair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, the sequence of my presentation is different than what's in the agenda. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to follow my presentation. That's where my stream of consciousness is.
That's okay. The floor is yours.
Gentlemen, here we go. Okay. Just giving you a series of continuing updates. A lot of things going on. As you recall, the pandemic stimulus package was just approved, and that had some impact on what's going on. We have just to sort of review and bring you up to date. Of the $363,000 that have been allocated, there have been almost $200,000 expended or committed, leaving a balance of about $155. We have $198,343 still remaining unallocated, and our intent, as we've said before, is to, at the appropriate time, will be to allocate those with council approval to agencies with existing contracts for rental assistance, utility assistance, and mortgage assistance. One thing that's big that's happened is the NC HOPE program has been restarted. We don't know how much money that is, but talking to Bob Martin recently, I believe the city had 700 or 800 applicants that are supposed to be submitting. NC Hopes will be submitting some funding to the utilities folks, City of High Point customer service. One of the things about the pandemic relief bill is it extended the spending deadline out a year. So all of that comes into play. Now, I've showed you this before. I'm not going to dive into this. I'm really just giving it to you for your reference. If you want to get into details of what's happening with each project, I'm just going to try to state, because we got a lot of stuff to cover today, try to stay at a 50,000 foot level. But you can see a report on what everybody's activities that leads us to those numbers down in the yellow. Also recently, Guilford County, in fact, it was at their December 17th meeting, they approved of $5 million for our housing and rental assistance program. Of course, that puts more resources out into the marketplace, and we have to kind of figure out where we fit. And then they've added $21 million for COVID relief assistance. That was, like I said, it was on the 17th. It's not on their website yet. I called the county clerk and asked them, I can't see the minutes. They said, we haven't done them yet. And I said, okay, I just want to know, was it approved? They said, yes, it was. So that's been approved. We're not sure what form that's going to take yet. But that's also out there in the COVID marketplace. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at and trying to figure out where to use our resources. If we can do it in a way that's unique to High Point or meets a need in High Point that's not being met by all these other resources. So that's part of the challenge. That's why we're kind of sitting on the balance there. Now I'm going to drift into the low-income housing tax credit. Any questions before for that other section?
Any questions from the committee?
Okay. Every year, Housing Finance issues what they call this qualified allocation plan. It lays out how people can apply for tax credits and bonds. There's some milestones coming forward. January 22nd is submission date for preliminary applications. I was trying to get some information to you today, because if I wait till February, it'll already be in the paper or something. I wanted to give you some advance notice. And then March 26th, they'll do the final site scores. This is where the agency will go out and score all the sites. And then in August, they expect to have the tax credit awards. And one of the things that's changed this year is that the poverty rate has been eliminated as a tiebreaker. In the past, it made the developers all rush to particular census tracts because they kind of make the assumption that they're competing with somebody else, so they're looking at the site. They figure that, you know, their quality of construction and all the other things, they would actually do as well. But the tiebreaker has been the poverty rate. Last year, the #1 site in Guilford County was in Greensboro because it had the lowest poverty rate. So so they've made this change, and it's going to affect how different developers approach sites in High Point or anywhere else. But I've got a list of sites that I'm already aware of. Actually got an email about another one this morning. But I'll just kind of update you on that. Avondale Trace, as you know, is essentially complete. I imagine next month they'll probably start moving people in, but they're essentially complete. Abbey Crossing is at the corner of Admiral and Samet Drive. This project, they're doing a redesign to make it meet the development ordinance. So the building was 15 feet too wide, so they have to come back and redesign that. But it's going to be 48 units, it's going to be elderly housing. We have not worked out with them yet what our level of participation is going to be financially. So the bond markets and the tax credit markets and all that stuff are still goofy right now. And so everybody's kind of sitting on hold. But hopefully they'll begin in the next 6 months. Highland Creek is a site that was actually submitted about 3 years ago, and it got knocked out because of the poverty rate. This is down, if you know where Baker Road comes out to South Main, in between there and what is it, Sir Pizza? There's a big lot over there. And this is coming from Winfield, they're proposing to use tax-exempt bond financing. Now, those bonds are actually coming from the state, but they have to be issued by the local government, just like what Daniel Brooks did. They issued bonds for Daniel Brooks, but Daniel Brooks is not on the hook, the state's on the hook, but you have to flow through an entity. So there would be no liability to the city, we just have to issue the bonds. Don't know the final unit mix. This is an old site plan, so I don't know if they're going to continue with that or change it somehow, but they're saying they want to do 120 units of multifamily. Walnut Ridge is a project that's been up before a couple years ago. This is off of Skeet Club. They're proposing 84 to 120 elderly units. And this will utilize tax credits, which will require some kind of subsidy from the city. We don't know what that amount is yet. There's a project on the drawing board. This is a sketch plan. This is the most current information I have, but this is off of West Wendover. It's actually, if you look at it on the point, it's actually kind of upside down because Morris Farm Road runs to the south of it, but in the picture, it looks like it's on top of it. But if you were to see the land, it runs to the south of it. 28 acres, 216 units. Again, using 4% tax exempt bond financing. And what I'm being told from the developer is they're going to submit, there's 2 or 3 other sites that they're looking at that they haven't finalized the site assembly yet. So I told them I wouldn't talk about it. But we'll know by the 26th what's coming out of High Point. Also, I got an email today from a gentleman who submitted a project last year off of Hartley Drive. I believe it was called Hartley Metals. And he apparently, in part because of the elimination of the poverty rate tiebreaker, that's what killed him last year, he plans on resubmitting. Okay, that's all I got on that. There are other sites. One of the things that we've talked about with the developer and have been for years is trying to do something inside the core city. And with the bond, tax exempt bond financing, this was another thing that was impacted by the pandemic relief bill, was they finalized the rate, instead of it floating, the bonds will be at 4%, or there'll be 4% of the basis, I guess is what they call it. And that impacts, of course, how much money is available. So they're looking at other sites, just didn't have it together to talk about it today. And if it doesn't happen this year, it could happen next year. We've been talking to them about 2 or 3 sites inside the core, and they're looking at, like I said, site assembly. So I don't want to. I'll have a sidebar with you, but I don't want to.
That was my one site in particular, on the corner of Leonard and something else. And I won't go into, I was curious if we had still any interest in that area for that site that's been blank.
Meredith Street.
Mm-hmm.
On Meredith Street, we're still waiting for the developer. They own the land. They bought the land.
Yeah.
But they're still getting their financing together.
Okay.
So, we've, essentially committed to the project, but they don't have the lion's share is coming from HUD. They're getting a loan from HUD. And of course, everything is slowed down. So every once in a while, I'll call them up and do a pulse check, make sure they're still there. But they don't have anything new to report on that. And next month, we'll actually be able to talk through these with more finality. We'll know how many projects are coming out of High Point or Guilford County. Last year, more applications came out of Guilford County than any county in the state, which is going to hurt us because that's one of the tiebreakers they put in there, was that if you had a lot of projects, they're going to count that against you, try to spread it around some. So that's all I got on that, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. And I'm sure that on the 26th, that there'll be, whenever they publish it, somebody will read it and they'll write a story about it. But just wanted to give you some advance notice.
All right.
Any questions from me? That's all I got.
No questions from committee? No, I guess not, Mike. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
And, I want to, are we good to start on the consolidated annual performance evaluation, or do we need more time?
Councilman Williams, I'll try it again, and hopefully I will be able to share the presentation this time. I think we have to unshare maybe what Mike has up there.
I think they're working on it at the moment.
Okay, are you all able to see are you all able to see that now?
No, not.
Okay, it says that I am.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong then. It does say I am.
I can see it.
Okay. We can move on to the next one. We will come right back to you, I promise.
I apologize. Okay.
And what we'll do is, yeah, we'll come back and move on to the next item.
And if we need to, Councilman Williams, can we possibly table it? If Mike is in agreement with that, we could table it to the next meeting and I'll be sure to get these bugs worked out.
I will be okay with doing that item, tabling it. Oh, it's up. Okay, you want to go ahead and try it again, Ms. Wilson?
Okay.
Staff is giving us the thumbs up here, so if you.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, we have you.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you. And I do apologize. This is Nina Wilson, Assistant Director for the Community Development Housing Department. And this is a presentation on the 2019-2020 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, or our CAPER. Mike gave you a presentation, of course, on where we are right now with projects, but this kind of takes a look at what we accomplished from July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2020. And the CAPER, of course, it is our basically our report card. It is our annual report where we highlight the accomplishments and activities that we have carried out from the major programs that we receive funding for, such as CDBG and HOME. And you can actually find the draft of this. We will be finalizing that within the next week or two on the website. It is available on the Community Development's webpage. Here you can see the funding sources that we received for the 2019 program year. This is approximately $3,051,000. And the bulk of our funding is federal funding. We receive about 62% from federal funds, 6% from state funds, and local funds from the general fund comprises about 32% of our overall budget. And just to highlight a few things that we accomplished over that particular program year, just looking at like our emergency and urgent repair programs. One thing that I will say is, of course, with like most programs and most people, COVID did impact us accomplishing our goals and actually meeting our goals at 100%. In years past, we really have not had any problem reaching that goal as far as our housing repairs and things like that. So I do want to point out that out of the 70 units, we did accomplish providing assistance for 50 units. And also when you look at the affordable rental housing development, we have 45 units there, and it's not that we did not, the developer has not actually gotten that project underway. That is for Meredith Street, the Meredith Street project. And even though we committed funds during that particular program year, they have not actually gotten that program started yet, still working on their financing. For down payment assistance, we did provide assistance to 22 households, and that includes citywide as well as the core city. So those are just some of the highlights of what we accomplished during that year. And these are many of the partners that we work with throughout the year to carry out public service activities, affordable housing, housing counseling, and Open Door Ministries. They actually were the only agency to receive the CDBG CV funds during that program year when those funds were first released. So we were able to assist them during that program year with that particular pot of funding. And these are the affordable housing projects that at that particular time from July to June of last year, most of the infrastructure work is what was going on at that point. But we know now that these projects are coming up out of the ground. we moved a lot of dirt in 2019, 2020, and just put in a lot of infrastructure. And now those projects are actually coming to fruition. And this is our funding distribution, looking at the different areas of how our funding was expended. I just want to point out on this particular pie chart that if you look pretty much from the right side of the pie chart to about 3/4 or 75% of this funding was for affordable housing, making housing opportunities and affordable housing opportunities available to the residents and citizens of High Point. And this just is basically a listing of what you saw on the pie chart, but just to highlight of that $3,051,000, we actually expended about $2.34 million. And I will point out with Operation Inasmuch, you may see there we did budget $200,000 for Operation Inasmuch, and we do appreciate you all's support of that program. The spring event, due to COVID, of course, we did have to cancel that program. So that's why we did not spend all of the funding that was allocated for that particular project. And I also want to point out with CEDRO, you see that there is zero there. We did not budget any funds in the 2019 year because this was funded with prior year funding out of the 2018-2019 budget. So there were no new funds put in, but we did have expenditures during this program year.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Councilman Jefferson, can I ask a question about that last slide?
Sure.
Under emergency repair, urgent repair, I noticed that in the slide, maybe it was the one before or 2 slides ago, we were a little down as far as the metric in which we met what our goal was. It looks like as far as from a budget standpoint, we went over budget, what we planned to do. Do you all mind talking through how that dynamic played out?
To be quite honest, Councilman.
And if they're unrelated, and I'm just seeing them as being related because of the names, then that could be it. But it was, I think it was the report card, the first one slides you showed. I think it was the percentage you showed. And as far as emergency repairs, as far as the units that we wanted to meet, we were a little lower, which understandably so because of COVID. We were a little lower than we wanted to meet. But it looks like as far as budget, we still end up going over without meeting what the goal was.
Okay, right. What I'll point out is in the budget, as I said, just kind of like with CEDRO, we don't necessarily show prior year funding. So when we have monies that are available through, let's just say like North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, we would have been spending 2018 funds. So even though we did not have new funds budgeted out of that particular pot, we don't budget it twice. We are still expending prior year funds. So that's why we may not have met the metric for that, but for this particular year, but the expenditures are including some prior year funds.
So dovetail on that for you.
Yes.
Also, because even though we canceled the spring Operation Inasmuch, we had already contacted homeowners and whatnot. And one of the things that we worked out with CHS was to do the work with staff rather than volunteers, which would make a unit cost go up because those are people that were paying. So that was a contributing factor as well. But we'd already made contact with the neighborhood and people had the expectations that their house would be repaired. So we actually did do some repair, but it wasn't the Operation Inasmuch as we would normally do. So that's probably contributing to that.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you both.
Thank you. And I just wanted to show here in this slide, really just kind of the transition. You can see prior to COVID, we had our lender certification workshop, had a room full. We get very good participation with that particular workshop. But then when we look at our home buyer education course, as I just kind of put that snapshot in there, our potential home buyers were actually attending virtually. And one of the things that Housing Consultants Group and our staff found is that it was very convenient for potential home buyers to attend virtually because they did not have to worry about child care and things like that. They were able to do it from their home. So we did actually see some participation once we went virtual. We did see some increase in participation with our home buyer education classes. And here are just some of the other partners. We have our VITA volunteer training, West End tutoring program, Helping Hands, and on the bottom right, you have a new homeowner at 605 Vale Avenue. And this is some of our construction work that we accomplished. You also see some of the urban agriculture that is going on in our community. And the other two photos are actually our construction training program that we partner with the North Carolina Home Builders Association and North Carolina Housing Finance Agency to implement this program. And you can see the shed that they actually complete during the course. And then once they graduate, they actually go on to do repairs at some of the housing sites that we have for some of our homeowners who need repair work. This is looking at the VITA program. We've been actually doing this program now for 14 years. This was our 14th year in 2019. And of course, because of COVID, having to close down the locations, we weren't able to complete as many returns as we had anticipated. We did open up 2 of the locations briefly in June and July just to kind of wrap the season up. But the one thing that we do want to point out on this particular slide is if you look at the average adjusted gross income at $22,452 for the household, this program really is providing a service and reaching the people that need it the most. And so this is really providing a great service. And when we look at affirmatively furthering fair housing choice, this is a recap of primarily all of the programs and things that we have done when it comes to producing affordable housing, whether it be for homeownership or rental, investing in our nonprofit agencies who are providing resources. All of these things help individuals have more options and more choices when it comes to where they want to live and where they want to be located within High Point. So all of the activities that we do really have that as the end goal, in that residents are able to live where they would like to live and be afforded the amenities that many residents are. The public review period for the CAPER was December 10th through the 28th, and the CAPER was actually submitted to HUD on December 31st. This particular report is normally due in September 28th, but due to under the CARES Act and of course due to COVID, we were given an extension and were able to submit that at the end of the year. And that is all I have. Are there any questions or any additional information I can provide?
Any questions from committee? I got just one. Do you think there's a potential that you can carry over the virtual class once we get through this piece? If you got participation, you said participation went up with
Yes.
the virtual class as opposed to in person?
Yes, that is definitely the plan. That is one thing that they have found that was a positive that came out of this pandemic, was the participation. So the plan is to continue to offer it virtually.
It's cheaper too.
I would imagine so. I would imagine so. All right, thank you, Ms. Wilson.
And thank you, I appreciate it.
No problem. The next item I'm questioning this. We can do 2021 4 or 5. You guys tell me which ones you want to go to. Because I still got 21 4 down here too.
That's an update.
That's the update from the Continuum of Care. Do we want to?
They
I don't see them here.
It's muted.
They're on? Okay, Dr. Palmer, are you with us?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and go with yours, the Continuum of Care update. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for having us again today. As I've said before, when we've come before you to share our progress relates to the work of the COC, we really appreciate the City of High Point, the staff, and also the City Council, and in particular this body, the Community Development Committee, for giving us this opportunity and partnering and working alongside of us to have a continuum of care apparatus that really the needs of homeless people and individuals and families, children in Guilford. We have been working diligently to continue with our goal of having the county be the applicant and Partners Ending Homelessness as the manager function amongst other duties. And Brian Hahn is also on the call. And so been working directly with staff and the officials with the county to really usher in this work and to usher in this new way or new management of applicant function. So Brian, I'm going to let you share. And again, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Palmer. And I echo what she has said. We're really appreciative of the City of High Point's support. Yeah, let me just highlight just how that transition's going. And I had a few other, I think, just important updates to share. We do continue to meet with county leadership on this transition. We're working very closely with a HUD technical assistant to navigate some of the sort of internal pieces that need to occur to make Guilford County the collaborative applicant in terms of the HUD system. We're working closely on that, especially with the county's new leadership, the county manager. There's new leadership there. I've been in dialogue with the interim county manager over the last 2 weeks, and she informed me today that the new county manager hopes to meet with us on Friday as we continue to work on this transition. And so that is going well. I want to mention just two other pieces where the county has been really critical in supporting us, especially since COVID. One is we continue to manage in partnership with them the isolation and quarantine hotel. Just some numbers for you. We have transitioned over 600 clients either safely into shelter or into housing since March, and have kept our COVID positive rate at about 5%. So we are, despite all the challenges we've faced over the past year, we're really pleased with that collaborative effort. And also, I'll just mention that we continue to, help our COC partner agencies get COVID relief dollars. I know both Nina and Mike have mentioned this in this presentation, but the county's been really instrumental in getting financial relief to these agencies. We're in the final stages of those expenses through December of 2020, and it's been nearly $750,000 that the county set aside just for our homeless service providers. And so we're really appreciative of that. I'll just mention two other things and I'll take any questions. We continue to focus on winter emergency sheltering, both with our High Point agencies and Greensboro agencies. Obviously, that is we're in the thick of that season when our temperatures drop below 27 degrees. We're in for some cold temperatures again, looks like this weekend. So our task force that continues to meet weekly on Wednesdays has been critical. You've got representation there in that meeting so that we can collaborate and partner together to help each other out. as we continue to try to safely shelter as many people as possible, though our shelters continue to operate at or below 50% capacity. I think currently we have 18 folks at our county hotel, 2 of which are large families. So we continue to strive to make sure we have safe placements for folks that are seeking shelter. The last thing I'll say, as you know, Open Door Ministry has had a tough few days and in the work that they do, and we continue to be a support. I checked in with their leadership, and we again, I think what's been good about COVID is it's helped our network to work more closely together. And so we try to be a support in any way we can, whether it be financial resources, staffing resources, emotional support. It's been quite a year that these agencies have gone through. And so we continue to try to support one another through these efforts, and we hate when things like that occur. So this is hard work. Our clients and our staff are under a lot of stress, and I think are doing the best they can. So those are my updates. I'll take any questions, and then I'll let y'all go.
Thank you, Brian. Is there any questions from committee? All right. Once again, thank y'all for keeping us posted, keeping us updated, and thank you again. Continuous thank you for your work, and especially now during these temperatures, and I can't imagine the load and how you navigate COVID with all of that included. I have no idea how that's done, but thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having us. Thank you.
Next is item 2021-5, presentation of Oakwood Community Development Corporation, and we'll turn the floor over to Reverend Kevin Sanders. I guess Greg Ferguson will be the first up.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a real brief introduction. This is Pastor Kevin Sanders, Oakwood CDC. Mike and Nina and I have met with him several times about his efforts in the Lindsay and English area, that corridor. And so he has a PowerPoint and a presentation and can take some questions today from the committee.
Right, okay. Hi, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for inviting me here. Again, my name is Pastor Kevin Sanders. I'm senior pastor at Created for His Glory Ministries. We've been here in High Point for 10 years now, and I'm the president of Oakwood Community Development Corporation, a CDC we started about 2 years ago. And as you can see, our executive summary and mission statement is we're here to serve the less fortunate and low income and the homeless individuals in the city of High Point. And we're here also we noticed that in our endeavors as far as going out into the city and helping the homeless, we noticed that a lot of the homeless, they lack clothing and they lack hygiene items. And we made it one of our top missions is to provide hygiene items, clothing for these individuals, especially during this COVID period. I think we did for like 4 or 5 weeks straight. We went out and gave them masks, hand sanitizer, food, clothing, just to help, during this time of this pandemic. And we also, noticed that one thing that coming around the city, we notice that we see a lot of the homeless individuals, they be in the parking lots, at the library, in different areas, they be out there. We wanted to do something that not only for Oakwood, but we wanted to do something to be in partnership with the city. We wanted to do a community center to provide showers for these individuals, so they can get a clean change of clothes and, take basic skill classes and just make them productive citizens at High Point, because they're here and we cannot ignore them. So moving forward, we push forward into doing we got our building design done. We're in the final stages of the approval of the blueprints, and it's called Oakwood Community Development Corporation Day Center. And as you can see, and it's going to be adjacent to our property on Oakwood. We own our property on Oakwood. We're debt free. We don't owe nothing on it. And this building is going to be the day center adjacent to the other building that's on Oakwood. That's the church. It's a brick building, 2-story building. As you can see, let me go through the little thing. We have, it'll be the first floor we have, and then we have a second floor. I don't know if I can zoom in on these things. If I can go, I think this is the first floor plan. On the first floor plan, we have, when you go in, you have a lobby, and then you have to your left, you have a women's locker room, which will have showers for women. Showers and lockers where they can be able to come in and they can take showers and get a fresh change of clothes. And right behind them, we have the men's showers also and locker room. We decided to have lockers so they might have some safe keeps. We might be able to just store from temporarily basis. And on the other side, we have a laundry room for them. We have classrooms. We have a computer lab. And all of this is to make them better, productive citizens in High Point. And we saw it not to be a far-fetched idea, but we moved on it. And what's interesting about it is that by us moving on it, we got the interest of someone not even in this state, which has already committed. The project is going to cost us about $600,000 to build. These blueprints costed us $33,000, which our donor outside of the state paid for the blueprints, and they committed to $300,000 of the construction of the building also. So we're moving forward on this, and then we're presenting it to the city because we want the city of High Point to partner with us. And we've also spoke with Continuum of Care, and we're partnering up with those organizations, West End Ministries, and I spoke with Mr. McNair. So we're very, very excited about this project because it's a selfless project. It's a project that everybody can get involved in. It's a project that's bigger than Oakwood. It's a project that the city can really, really, be proud of, that we have made an effort to provide something for these individuals, if not bedding, if they can't get a bed, but they can get a clean change of clothes, they can take a shower, they can take an educational course. So we're striving forward for this, and hopefully we hope to start building in March. We hope to start building in March. Like I said, we have already secured half of the funding as of to date. And if anybody have any questions, I'm more willing to answer.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Chairman Williams. If you mind, I have a question. This is Councilman Jefferson. Thank you. Reverend, what's your name?
Sanders.
Sanders, thank you for coming in. As far as that land, what's the land use there, Greg or Randy or Mike? Is that zoned right there? Okay. Which would allow that. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they've been through the planning steps so far, and they're approved to be on that site. And it is, as the pastor said, at the rear of the church site. So it's a use connected with the church, but it has been through the TRC.
And as far as location, I'm trying to picture it in my mind. you're on that side closer to English, right? Between English and Ferndale, or between English and MLK, I think it is, or Kivy, I think.
We're closer to Ferndale. We're right behind Lindsay. We're in the middle. Okay, you have Lindsay and you have Oakwood. So we're on Oakwood, but we're right behind Lindsay. If you know where the old probation office used to be at, we're right back up in there. Those buildings are abandoned now. We're exactly right behind the stadium. So we're closer to English and Lindsay Street right there. We're right there smack in the middle of everything.
Okay, and the building you say is about 600,000 to
Yes.
construct. What's the square footage on that?
The square footage of the building is about, I think it's like 4,400 square feet. We couldn't go bigger than the size of the lot that we had available, to provide. But it'll be 2 stories. But it'll be suffice to do everything that we need to do as far as providing showers for the homeless, clean, change of clothes and hygiene items, and basic skill classes.
And what's your capacity as far as how many clients you'd be able to serve?
On a daily basis, we're looking to serve probably 50 or more. And I want to add to that is we're not going to turn nobody down. And we also have transportation where we're going to go out like we normally do. We go out in service, give them food. We're going to go out and pick them up. If they need showers, we're going to bring them, and provide them with showers.
Yeah. With 50 as your capacity, you're not saying that. I'm trying to get a grip around that capacity. You're saying capacity of 50 who could be in the building at one time, or 50 that you would serve daily? What?
It would be 50 that we'll serve daily. And it may get to the point where I don't know if we're going to have 50 or more, but we have two levels. We have classrooms downstairs and classrooms upstairs. We will have it.
Or any other? You good? Councilman Jefferson? You good?
I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, there's probably more thoughts, but I appreciate the Reverend coming in and sharing so much with us, having a mission to serve folks in our city. Anytime you cape up to do something like that, it's incredibly admirable. So thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a comment.
Sure.
Just want to kind of manage expectations here, and this is something we've shared with the Reverend, is that we have timeframes that we have to deal with in terms of environmental reviews and things of that nature. And if you start in March, probably can't help you. I'm just telling you that. It takes a while to do those things. And, really not even supposed to sign a contract, but if you disturb the earth, we're out. So I just wanted to manage that expectation that we're looking to see if we can work with him on that. Of course, we're talking to him about putting that in a COVID framework.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the question we have to ask is how does that prepare or respond to the pandemic? So I just wanted to put that out there, and we're having an open and honest conversation with Mr. Reverend Sanders, and just wanted to share that because I didn't want you to walk out saying, "Oh, that's going to be an action plan." We don't know that yet. I do want to say this that we're willing to do whatever it takes, to work with the city, and I said the plan is to start in March. If we have to wait for the city, then we have to wait. We're patient. We've been patient enough waiting this time, so we're patient to wait. We're not in a rush. We want to make sure that this thing happens and that everybody plays a part in this center. And so we're willing to wait for whatever we have to wait for the soil testing to be done and to get approval from that end and to start. And like I said before, we're not in a hurry. Like I said, we have already secured over 300,000 from an outside source that's not even in the state.
Thank you, Reverend Sanders. It's still admirable that your efforts that you're putting into doing this. It's a service that's needed in the city, and I think we still got more due diligence to do between your organization and the city staff. So there was no action to take today. It was just, I appreciate your time in bringing this to the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor Sanders.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
Pastor Sanders. Yes. That is correct. Again, I take my hat off to you. This is Councilman Johnson. I take my hat off to you all, you and your staff, and on what you're doing.
Yes.
Definitely in our city, and definitely in the area.
Yes.
So I take my hat off to you guys, and thank you all for doing that.
Also, I wanted to, I forgot, I think I got something on a picture. I don't think it's on here, but as part of our clothing closet, as far as the day center, we just landed a major sponsorship. Dillard's Clearance Center, they gave us over 40 bags of new clothes to provide for the homeless.
Awesome.
So we have those, and they're going to be a sponsor also.
Great partners. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, before you go, Reverend Sanders, did you have another question for him? Councilman.
Well, I was actually asking the councilman there, because I know it's in Ward 4. Has there been any outreach to the local community to chat with folks there to maybe, I guess, gauge? Just because in the community, whatever you're doing, development is typically our practice, regardless of what the development is, to kind of get a feel for community. Have you and members of your team had a chance to do that, Reverend?
We do outreach every Saturday, just about. At least 3 or 4 times a month. We do outreach.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean in that way, which I think is admirable.
But as far as the day center, they know about the day center that we're for the homeless. Like in that area that you're in, if you notice where we're at, it's a lot of homeless people that come through there. Homeless people actually are living in those abandoned buildings. Those 2 abandoned buildings that's there right now. And we do outreach, and we tell them about our vision. We tell them about what we're doing. A lot of those people in that community, they come to the church also. They come and visit, and we share our vision with the community, so that the community knows about our efforts and our vision as far as the day center.
Thank you, Reverend Sanders. That was the last item on the agenda, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. It's first motion was Councilman Jefferson, second by Councilman Johnson. Is there anyone who opposed to adjourn? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.